Now there are basically a bunch of other data type, a bunch of other variable types that we have to talk about, and one of which is the double. The double. Now the double is, well, it stands for double precision, is a type that contains numbers that are real numbers. So like, I don't know, like square root of 2 or 2.44 or whatever. So I'm gonna call my var or my real or whatever, and I can put in the value 4 or 5.6. And when I print my real, as you can see, it's not printing the number correctly. It's just printing this random big giant integer here. And that is basically because if you'd like to print a real number, we have to change this symbol here, because that little symbol stands for integers, right? I'm telling the system that, oh, we're gonna find after the comma one integer, try to print it. So it is printing that my real number as if it is an integer. So we have to change that into %f, which stands for float, in order to print it. So try print again, and as you can see, it's 5.6000000, and so on. The same operations that we have shown for integers will also work for real numbers. So there's, for instance, the plus operator, which will take two numbers and print and take the sum of them. So 9.6 equals 5.6 plus 4. There's the minus operator. So that's 5.6 minus 4, that's 1.6. There's the multiplication operator. So that's 22.4. And there is the division operator. And that division operator will not basically take the, it will just divide the number, the whole number, by 4. So that's 5.6 divided by 4, so that's 1.4. And the modulus, this modulus operator, this percentage sign here, doesn't work for real numbers. So if I try, for example, to compile, it tells me that there is an error. So invalid operand. Okay, so you have double and int. That is not acceptable. Both of them has to be int, not double and int. So that's that's basically another type of variables, which is double. So whenever you want to work with numbers that has fraction in them, that has a part after the dot, like 0.6, 0.7, 0.3334, whatever, you have to use the double type. There's also another type called float. So it's like just like the double, but it can hold numbers that are smaller than double. Okay, because here's something that I have to tell you. Previously, when we've been declaring those variables like integers or real numbers or whatever, if we declare them in math, we don't say what is the biggest number that we can represent in that variable. Okay, what is the biggest number that we can store in that container? A container has a size, right? We cannot like put in a very, 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 very large number inside a container that cannot like hold that. So every type, every integer, every variable has a limit. There's a number that you cannot present another number bigger than that. So integer, for example, this int can hold up to about 4 billions. Okay, so that's 2 to the 32th power. That's the maximum thing that you can hold. And let alone, that's, well, That's 2 to the 31, not 32. You need to add this unsigned part here, to make it 2 to the 32. Well, we're gonna talk about that later, but just to notice here is that the float will always hold less values that are smaller than variables that are of type double. Cool. Now, so basically that's how you declare numbers, how you declare variables, and how to use those variables. Now let's explore a couple of other variables that you have to notice that they do exist. For example, the char variable. A char stands for a character. So if I type in char C here, I basically mean that I'm creating a character, okay? So I can say C takes the character A, okay? And notice here that I'm using the single quote before and after the character. So whenever you're dealing with a character, you have to use a single quote. Whenever you're dealing with a bunch of characters, like one or more characters, then you have to use double quotes. Okay, so because double quote stands for strings, a bunch of characters, sequence of characters, while single quote stands for one single character. Okay, if you put in like that, this will be considered not just as a single character, it will be considered as a sequence of characters of length 1. They only have just one character, but they're sequence of character. And C is not a sequence of characters, so when you try to compile this, you're going to get an error. Well, let's remove that. Well, it works, but it will not print the expected result. So let's try to print that. So if you have a character and you'd like to print it, you have to change that percentage F into percentage C. C stands for a character, and let's give it the C variable. And as you can see, it prints another character. It prints like that $sign because it didn't understand that A there. That's a string. That's a bunch of characters. That's not a character. So if you wanted to store it correctly, all you have to do is to use a single quote there. A single quote instead of a bunch of quotes. And as you can see, the program has just like, there's a bug or something, so it stopped working. So whenever you get like this code blocks here and you can't close the program and you can't do anything, go to this task manager here, and search for this CB console runner and end that task, and your program will get back to work. So there we have a single quotes. So if you try to compile, as you can see, it prints the letter A. Okay, and let's get rid of that text there. So it prints A, okay? So it works, basically it works. That's the little character. So whenever you'd like to declare a character, all you have to do that. Now, if you'd like to declare a string of character, a bunch of characters, a sequence of characters, you just type in char and then star there. We're gonna explain the meaning of stars in depth later because it's sort of an advanced topic. Basically, the star stands for pointers, and we have to learn a lot of stuff before getting into pointers. So just we're declaring a string. Let's give it a name, so my string, and then we're gonna give it the value hello world. Okay, and then we're gonna print that string. So instead of that C there, it must be S. S stands for string. okay? And then we're gonna give it the name of the variable, and we're gonna print, and as you can see, it prints the hello world text that we have in there. So back to integers. Whenever you'd like to declare an integer like that, so an integer variable called a, that integer will only, in fact, it will hold positive and negative values, okay? It will hold values between -2 billion and 2 billions. If you'd like to make the variable only contains positive numbers, all you have to do is to add this unsigned keyword before the type during the declaration. So instead of saying int a, well, unsigned int a. And that will give you values not between -2 billions and 2 billions, but it will give you values between 0 and 4 billion. So the 2 billion negative values will be added in the positive range, the positive domain. So if you want to declare an integer that holds values less than between 0 and 2 billions or 0 to 4 billions, you can use the short. So short will make the values of a range between 0 and 65,000. Well, basically, you don't need to focus a lot in depth into these variable types. So all you need to care about is always use int whenever you want to use integers. Always use char whenever you want to use characters. Always use char star whenever you want to deal with strings. Always use double whenever you want to deal with fractions or numbers that has the decimal part. And basically that concludes this video. See you in the next video.